Israel has launched multiple airstrikes on Iran.
Israel and Iran are locked in a high-stakes battle of calculated moves and dangerous provocations, each pushing the other to the brink. As Israel systematically takes out Hezbollah and Hamas leaders, Iran escalates its missile strikes and nuclear ambitions. Both know the catastrophic cost of an all-out war, yet neither is willing to back down. Israel now faces a critical choice: strike to neutralize the threat, or risk Iran tipping the balance of power in the Middle East. The question is, how far will Israel go, and will the US intervene when the stakes extend beyond the region to the global stage? For decades, Israel and Iran have been locked in one of the world's most dangerous standoffs. Both nations know that an open war could have catastrophic consequences, not just for them, but for the entire Middle East. Yet, despite this threat, the conflict simmers below the surface, erupting in targeted strikes, assassinations, and proxy warfare. Why haven't they fully engaged? Because neither side wants to ignite a war they can't win. But that hasn't stopped them from chipping away at each other's military capabilities in a high-stakes battle for dominance. Israel, with its superior military and strong Western alliances, knows that Iran cannot survive an all-out conflict. Israel is also counting on the US stepping in to defend them, giving them the confidence to push Iran's limits. But how far is the US willing to go if a full war breaks out? That's the question haunting both sides. Israel's primary objective has always been clear: prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons at all costs. Over the years, Israel has launched countless airstrikes, carried out assassinations, and conducted cyber attacks aimed at crippling Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure. But their strategy doesn't stop there. Israel also wants to completely defeat Iran's regional proxies, groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Palestine, who pose an existential threat to Israeli security. By arming and funding these groups, Iran ensures Israel is always preoccupied with threats on its borders. These proxies serve as Iran's shield, keeping Israel's military stretched thin. Israel knows that to truly neutralize Iran's influence, it must dismantle these proxy forces. But Iran, equally aware of this, is committed to sustaining them as leverage against Israel becoming too powerful and posing a direct threat to Tehran. However, Israel's confidence is not just based on its military might alone. It's also rooted in the belief that the US will come to its aid in the event of a war. This belief gives Israel the leverage to take bold actions against Iran and its proxies, knowing they have strong backup. But the US may not be so eager to get involved in a full-scale conflict. Why? Because if war breaks out, Iran has the potential to strike oil facilities across the Middle East, facilities that supply oil globally. A hit on these critical infrastructures could send oil prices skyrocketing.
But the spike up today occurred immediately after President Biden added to suggestions that Israel would target Iran's oil facilities,
plunging the global economy into a catastrophic collapse. Furthermore, with around 40,000 US troops stationed in the region, Iran could also perform missile and drone attacks on American military bases, directly endangering US personnel and complicating any potential US response. While Israel operates boldly, Iran is far more measured. Tehran knows it cannot win a direct war against Israel's superior military and its Western allies. So instead, it operates in the shadows, mastering the art of proxy warfare and asymmetric tactics. By supporting Hezbollah and Hamas, Iran forces Israel to fight on multiple fronts without directly confronting them. These groups launch rockets, conduct military operations, and serve as Iran's long arm in the region, all while giving Iran plausible deniability. Iran's strategy is one of careful retaliation. Take, for example, the October 2024 missile strike.
We are following breaking news. Iran launching a barrage of missiles into Israel. Major escalation in the conflict in the Middle East.
Iran made a calculated move to show its strength but avoided pushing too hard to provoke a larger international response. Tehran is playing a dangerous game, striking just enough to shake Israel's confidence while avoiding a full-blown conflict that could invite direct military intervention from the West. This missile strike not only showcased Iran's growing military capabilities, but also sent a powerful message: Israel is not untouchable. Despite the near-daily skirmishes, both Israel and Iran know the cost of a full-scale war would be immense. For Israel, the risk lies in its fragile alliances across the region. A full-blown conflict could lead to mass casualties and potentially destabilize the Middle East, dragging in other nations like the US or Saudi Arabia. But even with US support, there are serious risks. If Iran retaliates by targeting oil facilities in the Gulf, the ripple effects would be global. The destruction of major oil pipelines could send oil prices soaring, creating an economic disaster that would affect not just Israel, but the US and much of the Western world.
If Iran was to try to block it, then 20 million barrels per day, or a fifth of the world's oil production, not just Iran's, but every country in the Gulf, would not be able to transit their crude oil tankers.
For Iran, the stakes are even higher. Its military, while formidable, is no match for Israel's superior technology and intelligence networks. And if the US or NATO were to get involved, the consequences for Tehran could be catastrophic, potentially leading to regime change. Iran knows it cannot afford to let things escalate too far, which is why it treads carefully, defending itself without provoking a global response. But make no mistake, neither side is backing down.
Israel is striking back on Iran this evening.
Israel continues to launch targeted strikes against Iranian forces in Syria and Lebanon, aiming to weaken Hezbollah and Hamas and prevent Iran from entrenching itself further in the region. And each assassination, airstrike, and military operation is a calculated move in this dangerous game of chess. While Israel may project strength, its officials are increasingly alarmed by Iran's nuclear advancements and its ability to strike Israeli targets directly. The October 2024 missile strike deeply shook Israel's confidence. Israel has confirmed dozens of direct strikes on its most important airbases, forcing a reassessment of its vulnerabilities and marking a serious escalation in the conflict. This is a pivotal moment. Before Iran's October 1st missile attack, Israel largely believed that its advanced air defense systems were nearly impenetrable, providing a sense of security. Now, Israel must reconsider just how safe it really is from enemy attacks. As a result, if Israel decides to directly strike Iran, the question is no longer whether Iran can retaliate, but whether the potential cost will be worth it. Iran has already promised that its next retaliation will be magnitudes larger than its last strike. Iran's growing missile capabilities, once downplayed, have now become a significant concern. And the rumors of Iran's successful nuclear test on October 5th have only amplified the tension. A 4.6 magnitude earthquake in the city of Aradan that day has led to speculation that it was triggered by a nuclear test. Israel knows that a nuclear-armed Iran could dramatically shift the balance of power in the Middle East, further destabilizing an already fragile security situation. Tehran is well aware of the line it must not cross. It continues to arm its proxies and develop its nuclear program, but always with caution. Iran's leadership knows that provoking Israel too much could bring about devastating consequences, which is why they carefully measure their military actions. For Iran, this isn't just about survival. It's about maintaining enough power and influence to deter Israel without inviting an international intervention. In this high-stakes conflict, both Israel and Iran are playing a dangerous game. Neither wants a full-scale war, but neither is willing to back down. Israel is determined to destroy Iran's proxies and halt its nuclear ambitions, while Iran is focused on keeping Israel in check through strategic strikes and proxy warfare. The October 2024 missile strike has changed the dynamics, showing Israel that Iran's military capabilities are advancing. But with Iran's potential to target vital oil facilities and the US hesitant to dive into a regional war, the future of this conflict is far from certain.
In one sentence, Christian, the Trump administration managed to take Iran's nuclear program out of a box and to put it in the microwave.
With Iran's missile strike and the rumored nuclear test, the stakes are higher than ever. Will Israel take bolder action to neutralize the threat, or will Iran push forward and tip the balance of power in the region? And how involved will the US get? knowing that its own economic future could hang in the balance. Stay tuned as we continue to dive deeper into the silent war that's shaping the future of the Middle East.